We can start. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah al-ali al-azim. Alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa alihi at-tayyibin at-tahirin.
صل على محمد وآل محمد.
اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم. اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علومك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. Abu Hussein, if you have mubahasa, things are working, so you can inshallah join your mubahasa.
Shaykhna, this is more important, of course. It was I'm sorry I didn't adjust to the new shift. My apologies.
No, I'm sorry. Inshallah, next week will be 6 o'clock UK time, but this week we had to bring it earlier.
No problem.
Okay.
It's sincere apologies.
No. I am sorry for that.
Astaghfirullah.
So, as you remember, we were talking about the idea of husn qubh, whether they are aqli or shar'i. Intrinsic goodness or badness is the name that is normally used in ethical books in English. But you have to distinguish between two things, as we have said before in the kalam discussions we had. One is whether husn qubh are zati or arazi, which means whether they are intrinsic or accidental. And then if this question is sorted out, we go to the next question, whether it is aqli or shari. Because if there is nothing zati, if there is nothing objectively there as goodness and badness, then what is there for aql to discover? So husn qubh aqli is a second step for those who say that we believe in husn qubh zati. And those who say husn qubh shar'i, so they don't believe in husn qubh zati, or if they believe there is such a thing, they say we cannot discover it, we have to take it from Sharia. In any case, inshallah, these things will become more clear little by little. What is important now is we want to go to the arguments that Khawjah brings for husn qubh being aqli, being something that you can understand with your own reason, either before coming to religion or after coming to religion, or for people who have no religion at all. Aql in all of them gives them some basics of moral values, what is right, what is wrong. قال وهما aqilyayn. Khawjah Nasir rahmatullah alayhi says husn qubh are aqilyayn. Means both of them are intellectual, rational. Means that they can be understood by intellect. Why? للعلم بحسن الإحسان وقبح الظلم من غير الشرع. One argument is this: because we know, we have ilm, we have knowledge, we know that ihsan, doing good to others, being kind to others, benevolence is good. Doing injustice is bad. Min ghayr shar'an, even if there is no religion, or if you believe in religion, but even you, for the sake of argument, you try to distance yourself from your religion, you can understand these things. It's not that only religious people and based on religious convictions they believe that ihsan is good and zulm is bad. للعلم بحسن الإحسان وقبح الظلم من غير شرع. We have such a knowledge even without religion. Means without reference to religion. أقول علامة هلي says استدل المصنف رحمه الله على أن الحسن والقبح أمران عقليان بوجوه. Khawjah Nasir, who is our Musannif, the writer, has argued for goodness and badness being two rational things بوجوه, in different ways. هذا أولها. This is the first argument of Khawjah. وتقريره, if you want to articulate his argument, we say this: أننا نعلم بالضرورة حسن بعض الأشياء وقبح بعضها من غير نظر إلى شرع. We know بالضرورة means as something which is self-evident, something which is obvious, that some issues, some things, some ashya means some things, like some actions, are good and some are bad, من غير نظر إلى شرع, without considering religion, without reference to religion. He gives examples. فإن كل عاقل, for example, every rational person means every person who is mentally okay, يجزم بحسن الإحسان ويمدح عليه, is certain. يجزم means has jazm. Jazm and azm are very similar, very beautiful, similarities, that jazm and azm. But jazm is for certainty, azm is for determination. And you see the similarity. Certainty is a kind of being fixed. Determination is also being firm. So they are very similar, but one of them is for mind, which is jazm. Azm is something which is for heart, when you are 100% determined to do something. So every aqil is sure, is certain that ihsan, kindness, doing good is good. وَيَمْدَحُ عَلَيْهِ, and praises whoever does ihsan. Because the meaning of husn that we are talking about here is husn in the sense of being praiseworthy. Because as you remember, husn qub have three meanings. They are not all relevant to our discussion. Some of them are accepted by even Ash'arites to be aqli. For example, husn qub in the sense of being pleasant or unpleasant. Everyone says we don't need sharia. Is rose fragrance hasan or not? Even Ash'ari says yes, it is hasan and we don't need religion. Here, husn means mula'im lit-taba. Something which is mula'im lit-taba is hasanun. Qub means to be ghayru mula'im, to be unpleasant. Sometimes we use it in a second sense, husn in the sense of being efficient and useful for the purpose that we have. For example, a knife for kitchen, if is sharp, is hasan. If it's not sharp, you cannot cut meat or fruits. It's not useful. This is qabih. Again, in this sense, no one says that we need religion. The sense in which there is a controversy between Ash'arites and others is moral goodness and badness, as I said last week. Or what they used to say is to be praiseworthy or blameworthy. Yastahiqul mat or yastahiqul dham. If something you do and you deserve praise, this is hasan. If you deserve blame, this is qabih. So, فإن كل عاقل يجزم بحسن الإحسان ويمدح عليه. Every aqil is certain about goodness of kindness and praises over it. If someone does ihsan, praises them. وبقبح الإساءة means يجزم بقبح الإساءة is also certain that doing bad, doing wrong to others is qabih, is ugly, is immoral. Or ظلم is qabih. ويضم عليه, and blames over that. وهذا حكم ضروري لا يقبل الشك. This is ضروري, this is self-evident, no doubt can come, it's beyond doubt. وَلَيْسَ مُسْتَفَادًا مِنَ الشَّرْعِ. So on the one hand, it's something that we are sure about it. On the other hand, this is not something that is taken from religion. Why it's not taken from religion? We have religion. But we say, we don't take this from our religion. We can suppose that even if we were not religious, we could understand this. And the good support for this, the good evidence is that there are atheists or people who follow some traditions that they believe the same, but they don't have any scripture, any revelation as Muslims and Christians and Jews have. لَيْسَ مُسْتَفَادًا مِنَ الشَّرْعِ. This is not taken from religion. Although religion confirms that, but it's not learned for the first time from religion. لِحُكْمِ الْبَرَاهِمَ وَالْمَلَاحِدَ بِهِ مِنْ غَيْرِ اعْتِرَافٍ مِنْهُمْ بِالشَّرَائِعِ. Because even people like malahida means atheists, those who have no religion. Barahima refers to the Hindus, some Hindus who were maybe priests in the Hindu tradition. They have religion, but they don't have kind of understanding that Abrahamic faith have about, God, the personal God who, chooses a prophet and sends revelation. So, in a sense, they deny Sharia as a code of law coming from God based on the revelation. But still, they don't have any issue with understanding that kindness is good and injustice is bad. This is the first argument. The second argument, if we don't, this was something we had it in Baba Hadi Ashar. If something is, let me say in this way, if you believe, like Ash'arites, that husn qub are only shar'i and not aqli, Khawjah Nasir says this would lead to a very unpleasant consequence. If you deny husn qub aqli and just believe in husn qub shar'i, it has very bad consequence. What is the consequence? The consequence is that even shar'i cannot be proved. The whole actually shar goes into question. Why? Because if we say by our aql we don't see any problem about lying, about cheating, about deceiving. If you say from rational perspective, they are the same, whether you are honest or dishonest, whether you are cheating or you are telling the truth, the same. Okay, now, how can then you make sure that when God tells us to do something, for example, tells us to be honest, He is not deceiving us. Or, as in some other books have mentioned, how can you prove that this person who claims to be a prophet and has brought some miracles is honest? Maybe God gives miraculous power to someone who is a liar. Maybe God doesn't mind people are deceived. How can you block the way for such possibilities? We block by saying that God would not do anything which is really objectively immoral. God would not deceive. God would not tell lies. Based on that, we say it's impossible for God to give miraculous power to a person who claims to be prophet. If he doesn't claim to be prophet, that's easier. But if he's claiming and planning to misguide people, how can then God give him miraculous power? If you believe in objectivity and rationality of moral values. So we say there is no chance, and therefore we can establish that this person, if really brings miracles, is sent by God, and then we can build upon these other things. So those who deny reason and the ability of reason in understanding about basic moral values, they are not serving religion. Indeed, then this would lead to denying the whole religion and keep it always under question mark. قال ولانتفائهما مطلقا لو ثبت شرعا. The second argument of Khawjah is this, that if husn qub are established shar'an, both of them will be disappearing. Both of them will be rejected. Means aqli and shar'i, both will be muntafi. Means both of them will be erased, will be no longer available. أقول هذا وجه ثان. Allah says this is the second way of arguing for husn qubh aqli. يدل على أن الحسن والقبح aqliyan. So this is the second argument that indicates that goodness and badness are rational. What is the way to explain and articulate this argument? وتقريره, we want to expand and articulate is this. أنهما لو ثبتا شرعا لم يثبتا لا شرعا ولا عقلا. If husn qub are only established through shara, through religion, the result would be that they are not established neither through religion nor through aql. So by denying husn qubh aqli, even husn qubh shar'i will be denied. وَالتَّالِي بَاطِلٌ إِجْمَاعًا. This consequence is something that no one can accept. No one would accept that husn qub are not there shar'an wa aqlan. No one accepts to deny both. This is unacceptable consequence. So we have to say, therefore, the condition was also wrong. You know, we say burhan khulf. If P, then Q. But we cannot accept Q, not Q, so not P. If you believe only in husn qubh shar'i, it leads to what? Denying husn qubh aqli and shar'i together. No one accepts that husn qubh aqli and shar'i are not there. At least one of them must be there. So you cannot deny husn qubh aqli and just stress on shar'i. Bringing shar'i doesn't solve the problem. وَالتَّالِي بَاطِلٌ means انتفاؤهما شرعا وعقلا, that is باطل. فالمقدم مثله, P also the same. بيان الشرطية, let us explain this conditional sentence. أننا لو نعلم حسن بعض الأشياء وقبحها عقلا لم نحكم بقبح الكذب. If we don't know that some of the things are good or bad aqlan, if you deny this, if you say don't talk about rational understanding, means you just say we have shar'an, husn qubh only is religious. If you say this, lam nahkum biqubh al-kidhb فجاز وقوعه من الله تعالى عن ذلك فجاز وقوعه من الله تعالى عن ذلك علوا كبيرا. Then you cannot understand that kidhb by itself is bad. Then it means that na'uzu billah, this can happen from God, that God may say lie, may tell lie, and God is ta'ala an dhalika uluwan. God is very high and raised above saying kizb. So you are not able to explain why God does not say lie. As a religious person, you cannot accept that God would tell lie, but your methodology and your attitude puts you into a corner, and you cannot explain why God cannot tell a lie. فَإِذَا أَخْبَرَنَا فِي شَيْءٍ أَنَّهُ قَبِيحٌ, if about something God informs us that it is qabih, if God says this is qabih, to break your promise is qabih, لَمْ نَجْزِمْ بِقُبْحِهِ, we would not be able to have certainty about badness of this. Why? Because God has informed us, and God may tell lies, na'uz billah, according to their arguments. وَإِذَا أَخْبَرَنَا فِي شَيْءٍ أَنَّهُ حَسَنٌ, or if he says something is good, لَمْ نَجْزِمْ بِحُسْنٍ, we cannot be sure about being good. Why? لَتَجْوِيزِ الْكِذْبِ, because it's possible that he is lying. وَلَجَوَّزْنَا أَنْ يَأْمُرَنَا بِالْغَبِيِّ, this was about informing, if God makes a statement. Also about his commands and prohibitions, again we have problem. God could have made us obligated, could have asked us to do something qabih, and يَأْمُرَنَا بِالْقَبِيِّ, to ask us to do qabih. Or it was possible to يَنْهَانَا عَنِ الْحَسَنِ, to prohibit us from doing something which is good. Why? Because according to this basis, God's wisdom also will be questioned. لِانْتِفَاءِ حِكْمَتِهِ تَعَالَى عَلَى هَذَا التَّقْدِيرِ, because according to this, hikmah also doesn't have any meaning. There is no reality, there is no basis for goodness and badness. So then what's the meaning of hikmah? God just decides and says arbitrarily, and everything then will be as he said. Then this doesn't need wisdom. Once in the Khawjah, I mentioned this example for you, that someone was waiting that someone shoots the arrow to the target, and or he himself, for example, was shooting the arrow, and wherever the arrow had hit, he would make a circle around it in the way that it becomes the center of that circle, and says, look, I am a winner because it has hit the center of the target. Yes, if you first hit and then decide what is the target, you are always winner. Like some people who are always winners in socio-political affairs, because there is no objectivity. They think just by doing things, they are winner. These people are always winner. No one is checking, how much we have convinced people, how much we have attracted people, how much we have, created more opportunities for future. They don't bother about these things. Or for example, imagine people who are dictators. They ask people, especially their opposition, to go by law, observe the laws, don't do anything illegal, respect the constitution of the country, respect all the laws of the country. Okay, what about you yourself? We also go by law. How? Because we make the law. So whatever suits them, they make it as a law. They ask other people to go by law. So do we want to make Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, na'udhu billah, like this? That Allah has no wisdom, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has no benevolent nature. He just says, do something and it becomes the norm. This is not acceptable. So if we deny intellectual goodness and badness, it leads to denying the whole concept of religion and Sharia and virtuous nature of God. Then the third argument, وَلَجَازَ التَّعَاكُسِ. Allah Mehelli says, what came to my mind as interpretation is this. It seems that he was not 100% sure, but he makes a good actually interpretation. So we are happy with that. He says, the point is that if husn qub were not aqli, which as I told you presupposes to be objective beforehand, to be zati, if they were not aqli and zati, it was possible to change the sides. What is good, we could make it bad. What is bad, we could make it good. Ta'akus means like this. For example, to keep your promise is good, to break your promise is bad. Okay, it was possible to do it in the other way. To say keeping your promise is bad, breaking your promise is good. What is wrong with that? It was possible for God to say like this, while no one can accept this. Because if you go to any group of people, Muslims, Christians, Jews, Hindus, Buddhists, people who have primitive religions, people who have no religion, all of them would tell you that keeping promise is good, breaking promise is not good. You cannot do it reverse way. أقول الذي خطر لنا في تفسير هذا الكلام. Allah Mehelli says, what has occurred to us about interpreting this word is this. أنه لو لم يكن الحسن والقبح aqilyayn لجاز أن يقع التعاكس في الحسن والقبح. If these two were not rational, it was possible to change and to reverse goodness and badness. How? بأن يكون ما نتوهمه حسنا قبيحا. What we thought is Hasan is Qabi. وبالعكس, what we thought Qabi is Qabi becomes Hasan. فكان, now as a kind of example, يجوز أن يكون هناك عظيمة. If this was true, then you have to accept that it was possible, that there would be not one person, two people in the world. You can always find, people who are, somehow troubled in their understanding. But if your idea was correct, you have to allow that millions of people could think that way, millions of people this way. So this is why he says عظيمة. فكان يجوز أن يكون هناك عظيمة تعتقد حسن مدح من أساء إليهم. If your idea was correct, then it was possible to have great nations in the world who believe that it is good to praise people that have wronged them. If wronging is good, so you should praise them. How many people in the world say that if someone wrongs you, he is praiseworthy? No one says that. وَذَمَّ مَنْ أَحْسَنَ, or whoever has been kind to you should be blamed. How many people say you should blame people who have been kind to you? كما حصل لنا اعتقاد عكس ذلك. We believe opposite to that. We say wronging is bad, kindness is good. But if this has no basis, it could be the other way around. And if it could be the other way around, so now actually in the world there must be many people who think that way. Or at least, can you imagine many people thinking that way? That wronging is good, kindness is bad. وَلَمَّا عَلِمَ كُلَّ عَاقِلٍ بُطْلَانَ ذَلِكَ. And because every aqil accepts that this is false, جزمنا باستناد هذه الأحكام إلى القضايا العقلية. Because every aqil, every rational person, every intelligent person believes that such thing cannot be true, we can be sure that these judgments are from aql. When uqala all agree on something, it's because of aql. Because there is only one thing common among uqala, and that is aql. Lal awamir wan nawahi shar'iyya, not religious commands and prohibitions, because uqala, they don't all follow these commands and prohibitions. Walal adat, and not also habits, because nations have different habits, different ethnicities, different genders, different ages, different geographical locations, all have different habits, not exactly the same. This cannot be because of habit then. Then we go to the next argument. And I explained the argument just for preparation, but I leave it for the next week because I have to finish to get ready for the next program. One of the things that Ash'arites keep using against those who believe in rational goodness and badness is that if goodness and badness were real, were rational, then they should be like sciences. When it comes to science, we are very sure. For example, of course, they make very simple example. like whole is bigger than juz, whole is bigger than part. Or you can go to, self-evident things from chemistry, mathematics, geometry. Anyway, there are things which are very obvious and all people agree. Asharat say, why when it comes to morality, when it comes to goodness and badness, they are not the same as these scientific, self-evident things? If they can be known rationally, they should be the same. But Khawjah says, no. We don't say that everything that can be understood by aql should be at the same level of clarity. Everything should be self-evident. No, there are many things that are not self-evident and still they can be understood by reason. For example, philosophy, mathematics. These are understood by intellect, but many of the things are in need of training, studying hard. They are not self-evident. So يجوز التفاوت في العلوم لتفاوت التصور. It's possible that different types of knowledge and sciences are different because their conception for us is different. In other words, there is no need that all the things that we know by ourselves or we can know by ourselves without religion must have the same level of clarity. No, they can be different. Inshallah, we discuss this in the next session. I explain it again and read the text for you. And then we have other arguments by the Ash'arites. We have to study them and evaluate them, and then this mas'ala will finish. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless the souls of Khawjah and Allameh rahmatullah alayhima and all our scholars, and may Allah inshallah include us among the seekers of knowledge. May Allah inshallah be with you. If there is one question, we can take one question at least, inshallah.